My name is, again, Miss Mimi, at your service, and I'm here to read you a story. Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck one, down, the mouse ran down. Hickory dickory dock, tick tock, tick tock. Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck two, bang, bang, the mouse ran down. Hickory dickory dock, hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck three. The mouse ran down. Hickory dickory dock. Tick tock, tick tock. Hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck four. The mouse ran down. Hickory dickory dock. Last time. Hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck five. The mouse ran down. Hickory dickory dock. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Hi, kids. I sang that song for a reason, and you'll find out very soon enough. If you have watched this series, it's interesting. So I'm glad that I get to read the actual book because I've seen it on TV a lot. How have you been? Have you spent time with your family? What's your favorite thing to do with your family? You want to tell me that in the comments? That would be much appreciated. Okay, we're gonna dive right into it right now. The title of this story, it's actually a collection of story about Peter Rabbit and Friends. Peter Rabbit and Friends. If you're familiar with Peter Rabbit, please show some love in the comments. But it's a collection, so I'm going to be reading one story out of all the stories in here. And the story that I picked is titled The Tale of Peter Rabbit. Prepare for a roller coaster. Once upon a time, there were 4 little rabbits, and their names were Flopsy, Mopsy, Cottontail, and Peter. They lived with their mother in a sandbank underneath the root of a very big fir tree. Now, my dears, you may go into the fields or down the lane, but don't go into Mr. McGregor's garden. Your father had an accident there, and he was put in a pie by Mrs. McGregor. This is what Peter Rabbit's mother said to them. There you go. She's sending them out on an errand and says, oh, you can go play in all these other places, but don't go in here. Sounds like a very familiar story from the Bible. Do you know anyone who they told, you can do all these other things, except this one thing. And guess what happened? They went to do the one thing that they said they couldn't do. And, well, that's how we ended up here. Anyway, that's not important. What's important is Peter Rabbit and Friends. Now run along and don't get into mischief. I'm going out. Mrs. Rabbit is going out. Then old Mrs. Rabbit took a basket and her umbrella and went through the wood to the baker's. She bought a loaf of brown bread and currant buns. Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail, who were good little bunnies, went down the lane to gather blackberries. But Peter, Peter who was very naughty, ran straight away to Mr. McGregor's garden and squeezed under the gate. What did I say? I knew someone was gonna try to test out what his mama said he shouldn't do. Well, Peter's the culprit. First, he ate some lettuces and some French beans. And then he ate some radishes. And then, feeling rather sick, he went to look for some parsley. Oh, by the way, have you noticed how many vegetables we've mentioned in this story so far? We've had lettuces, we've had parsley, we've had radishes. Keep counting. Let's see how many more we can catch. But round the end of a cucumber frame, cucumber, get it? Whom should he meet but Mr. McGregor himself? Mr. McGregor was on his hands and knees planting out young cabbages. But he jumped up and ran after Peter, waving a rake and calling out, "Stop, thief!" Peter was most dreadfully frightened. He rushed all over the garden, for he had forgotten the way back to the gate. He lost one of his shoes among the cabbages and the other shoe amongst the potatoes. Okay, that's hilarious. Anyway, after losing them, he ran on 4 legs and went faster, so that I think he might have got away altogether if he had not unfortunately run into a gooseberry net and got caught by the large buttons on his jacket. It was a blue jacket with brass buttons, quite new. Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows, who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to exert himself. Mr. McGregor came up with a sieve which he intended to pop upon the top of Peter, but Peter wriggled out just in time, leaving his jacket behind him. Uh-oh. And he rushed into the tool shed and jumped into a can. It would have been a beautiful thing to hide in if it had not had so much water in it. Mr. McGregor was quite sure that Peter was somewhere in the tool shed, perhaps hidden underneath a flower pot. He began to turn them over carefully, looking under each. Presently, Peter sneezed. Gah, 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 achoo! Mr. McGregor was after him in no time. There you go. And tried to put his foot upon Peter, who jumped out of a window, upsetting 3 plants. The window was too small for Mr. McGregor, and he was tired of running after Peter. He went back to his work. Poor Mr. McGregor. Peter sat down to rest. He was out of breath and trembling with fright, and he had not the last idea which way to go. Also, he was very damp with sitting in that can. After a time, he began to wonder about going lippity-lippity, not very fast, and looking all around. He found a door in the wall, but it was locked, and there was no room for a fat little rabbit to squeeze underneath. An old mouse was running in and out over the stone doorstep, carrying peas and beans to her family in the wood. Peter asked her the way to the gate, but she had such a large pea in her mouth that she could not answer. She only shook her head at him. Peter began to cry, and then he tried to find his way straight across the garden, but he became more and more puzzled. Presently, he came to a pond where Mr. McGregor filled his water cans. A white cat was sitting straight at some goldfish, She sat very, very still, but now and then the tip of her tail twitched as if it were alive. Peter thought it best to go away without speaking to her. He had heard about cats from his cousin, little Benjamin Bunny. Oops. together. Hey, come on. Okay, there you go. He went back towards the tool shed, but suddenly, quite close to him, he heard the noise of a hoe. Scritch, scratch, scratch, scritch, scratch, scritch, and Peter scuttled underneath the bushes. But presently, as nothing happened, he came out and climbed upon a wheelbarrow and peeked over. The first thing he saw was Mr. McGregor hoeing onions. His back was turned toward Peter, and beyond him was the gate. Peter got down very quietly off the wheelbarrow and started running as fast as he could go, along a straight walk behind some black currant bushes. Mr. McGregor caught sight of him at the corner, but Peter did not care. He slipped underneath the gate and was safe at last in the wood outside the garden. Mr. McGregor hung up the little jacket and the shoes for a scarecrow to frighten the blackbirds. Peter never stopped running or looked behind him till he got home to the big fir tree. He was so tired that he flopped down upon the nice soft sand on the floor of the rabbit hole and shut his eyes. His mother was busy cooking. She wondered what he had done with his clothes. It was the second little jacket and pair of shoes that Peter had lost in a fortnight. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry to say that Peter was not very well during the evening. His mother put him to bed and made some chamomile tea, and she gave a dose of it to Peter. 1 tablespoon of chamomile to be taken at bedtime. But Flopsy, Mopsy, and Cottontail had bread and milk and blackberries for supper. The end. Well, this is a story where you learn a lot of things, but the number one thing you should learn is always listen to mama or a dada, okay? Don't go doing things they said not to do, especially when they give you reasons not to do it, right? If Peter had listened to his mom, he wouldn't have lost his jacket, he wouldn't have lost his shoes, and he wouldn't have had to go through all the trouble he went through trying to get back home. So listening to mama and dada is very important to live a successful life. Thank you for watching. I will see you here next time. Remember to subscribe, to like, to share. Love you guys. Bye.